What is up, YouTube? Check this out. Law and Crime, baby. Love the Law and Crime, man, because they give you the real deal, man. Check this out. Jay-Z sues rap accusing of explosive lawsuit in explosive law. Wait a minute. Jay-Z sues rap accuser. I said rapper. I be putting shit in, ain't even there. Jay-Z sues rap accused in explosive lawsuit. Oh, shucks. Hey, man, I heard that Jay-Z is suing, it's all kinds of stuff on this internet. Lord have mercy. And I thank everybody for trying to protect Uncle Mike and the Music Recording Network. People kill me when they think they know something. If you think you know it, I already know it. It's almost like you better be careful. Suing Jay-Z suing YouTubers. Huh? No, Jay-Z suing allegedly one YouTuber. He ain't got time for this little stuff we doing. He got bigger Super Bowl stuff to do. Halftime Super Bowl stuff to do. He ain't worrying about this. We just down here having fun and giving our opinion. Just my opinion. Jay-Z is just my opinion. Don't give me no daggone, don't off me. Anyway, is that Will Smith? Hip-hop, Houston hip-hop legend remembers Silver Tunnel. Anyway. This is wild, man. This been on my desk for a minute. Become a Patreon. We're doing all this to help people. So our channel, I'm letting everybody know we trying to do some positive things out here, man. I'm doing the best I can. You don't like it? Oh, man, you ain't doing nothing. Ain't all that. I'm doing more than you doing. I know that much. Doing more than you doing. More people. If somebody's doing more than me, then they looking down, applauding me for getting as far as I have. This is the thing about haters. Y'all ready, haters? Listen up, haters. A hater sit back and do nothing but point the finger about all the stuff you're doing wrong. Like we don't know what we're doing wrong. When you do things, you're going to do shit wrong. You're going to do stuff wrong. I mess up. I screw up. I read the title wrong. I can read the title 5 times before I hit the record button. That way I can get it right at least. But I got other things to do, like run the Patreons, go out and feed people, help people, try to help people with their own channels. Yeah, I try to help people while the haters sit back and say, oh, you think you all that. No, I don't think I'm all that. I know I'm all that. See, that's what the problem is. You think, oh, he think he all that. No, I am all that. And we all should be thinking that we all that. You should think very highly of yourself. Shame on you. Who are you to put yourself down to say that you're not all that? Who are you? God made you. So you saying God made a mistake? Yeah, we not perfect. Because if we was praise him more. And we would know that he made us perfect. Whatever we are. So yes, I think very highly of myself. These crazy haters. I think very highly of myself. And if you want to help me. Stop telling me what I should and should not do. I ain't taking no picture down. I know I ain't do nothing wrong. Man, I'm gonna tell you should take that picture down. You should take that picture down. I'm not taking the picture down. When I speak, I stand on it. I ain't got to keep repeating myself. I said it. I don't care. They can come and investigate me. They try to say I'm trying to pimp girls in the Philippines. They try to say, go look at my post. Go to Mike Cross on Facebook. And I could not believe, you pimping and all this stuff. A couple of my friends called me, said I should take the picture down. My name is No Diddy. Maybe I should have put that under the damn picture. That's my niece. She's seen the picture. She happy. Thank you, Uncle Mike. She just looking for somebody. She looking for real love. And she asked me, and I tried to help. I said, well, I throw this up on Facebook. You know what I'm saying? How we get way over there? God dog it. Hey, y'all hit that subscribe button. Hit that bell. Become a Patreon, man. Help support the channel. Let's check this thing out.
Jay-Z is firing back.
How the hell I
rap
get way
mogul
on
is suing the
Facebook?
woman who claimed he raped her, and he's also suing 2 of her lawyers just weeks after she dropped her lawsuit against him and Sean Combs.
Okay. Oh, Crime Fix.
Welcome to
Lord.
Crime Fix. I'm Jeanette Levy. It's been a little more than 2 weeks since Jane Doe, a woman who filed a lawsuit claiming that Sean Diddy Combs and Jay-Z raped her 25 years ago, dropped her lawsuit. She dismissed it with prejudice, meaning it can never be refiled. And now in this lawsuit that Jay-Z has filed, he's claiming that Jane Doe has admitted that the story isn't true, that Jay-Z raped her. But her lawyer, Tony Busby, says she has not recanted her story. There are even more claims made by Jay-Z that, if true, are incredibly shocking about how this unfolded. Jay-Z's lawsuit makes several claims against Jane Doe and her lawyers, Tony Busby and David Fortney, including civil conspiracy, malicious prosecution, and abuse of process. He's also accusing Jane Doe of defaming him. Now, if you've been following this really isn't a complete shock. Jay-Z took a scorched earth approach to defending himself against Jane Doe's claims, issuing statements on social media and filing a number of motions denying the allegations. And Tony Busby, Jane Doe's lead attorney, was in the crosshairs. Jay-Z's suit goes over the woman's claims. She said she went to the VMAs at Radio City Music Hall back in 2000 when she was just 13. Her lawsuit claimed one of the limousine drivers she spoke to claimed to work for defendant Combs. The driver told her that Combs liked younger girls and said she fit what Diddy was looking for. And while not allowing her into the awards, the driver invited her to an after party. The driver stated that he had to drive Combs and others to the after party first, but instructed plaintiff to return to his location after the event and that he pick her up and take her to the after party. Jane Doe's suit described her being driven to a large white house with a gated U-shaped driveway where she saw and spoke with other celebrities and drank something that made her feel woozy, and eventually made her way to a room where there was a bed. The suit stated, soon after, Combs entered the room along with defendant Carter and a female celebrity, Celebrity B. Plaintiff immediately recognized all 3 celebrities. Combs aggressively approached plaintiff with a crazed look in his eyes, grabbed her, and said, "You are ready to party." Combs then threw plaintiff toward a wall, causing plaintiff to fall. Plaintiff got up and stumbled, at which point Combs grabbed her again and threw her on the bed. At that point, Carter began removing plaintiff's clothes as she grew more and more disoriented. Plaintiff was held down by Carter as he vaginally raped her, while Combs and Celebrity B watched. After Carter finished, he stepped back towards the wall. Combs then stepped forward and vaginally raped plaintiff while Carter and Celebrity B watched. Combs then knocked plaintiff down and attempted to force plaintiff to perform oral sex on him. She fought back, standing up quickly and punching out at the same time, hitting Combs in the neck. Taken aback, Combs stopped his attempt. Now, this woman claimed that she went to a gas station and called her father, who picked her up, but that part of the story later fell apart. We'll have more on that later. The woman also claimed to have met Benji Madden at the party, but his reps later told NBC News that he and his brother were on tour in the Midwest at the time. Now to the suit filed by Jay-Z, whose legal name is Sean Carter, as you've heard. The allegations he makes are explosive. The suit begins, false, malicious, strategically and tactically calculated and timed to inflict maximum pain and suffering on Mr. Carter, and in conspiracy with multiple attorneys, including defendants Anthony Busby and David Fortney, who, like her, were soullessly motivated by greed in abject disregard of the truth and the most fundamental precepts of human decency. The suit continues. These are the only truthful and fair descriptions of Jane Doe's and her lawyers' malevolent efforts to assassinate the impeccable and lifetime-earned character of Sean Corey Carter, who is professionally known as Jay-Z, but more importantly is known as dad and husband and son, and a human being who did nothing to deserve or elicit the wanton depraved attack that Jane Doe, in conspiracy with her lawyers, launched to extort Mr. Carter beginning on November 5th, 2024, through a menacing private demand letter. I want to tell you about a free app I've tried. It's called Upside. It gives you actual data on your screen on your first a mystery. The suit states, when their filed her lawsuit in November. At that time, only Sean Combs was named, and the identity of Celebrity A and Celebrity B remained a mystery. The suit states, when their initial extortionate demand letter failed to yield the financial windfall they sought, and after Doe told Busby, with whom she had never spoken before the demand letter was drafted and sent that Mr. Carter did not sexually assault, Busby pushed towards going forward with the false story against Mr. Carter to make the case better and get them, the lawyers and hers, more money. Specifically, Busby brought Jay-Z into it. Jay-Z's lawsuit points to a number of inconsistencies in Jane Doe's story, many uncovered by NBC News when a correspondent interviewed her, specifically the inconsistencies about her father picking her up. The suit states, regarding her long pre-dawn drive home with her father, Doe's father told NBC News that he does not recall picking up Doe, which unsurprisingly would have been something that would definitely stick in my mind. He said that he learned of the alleged assault when Doe was interviewed by NBC News in December, and that he did remember once picking Doe up in the middle of the night, but it was a local drive. Based on their address in Rochester, New York, Doe's father would have driven at least 5 hours and 47 minutes to pick her up. And Jay-Z says just last week, Jane Doe admitted to his reps that the story she told wasn't true. The suit states, Doe has now voluntarily admitted directly to representatives of Mr. Carter that the story brought before the world in court and on global television was just that, a false, malicious story. She has admitted that Mr. Carter did not assault her, and that indeed it was Busby himself, whom she met for the first time at a coffee shop in Houston on the day of her maliciously false NBC News interview, which is discussed in detail below, who pushed her to go forward with the false narrative of the assault by Mr. Carter in order to leverage a maximum payday. The suit continues. Doe appears to be suffering from personal and financial hardship. She lost custody of her children, and her parents, who on information and belief support Doe, recently filed for bankruptcy protection. Desperate to obtain a payday, Doe hired the Busby law firm, which has a long history of whipping up a media frenzy with vague and sensational claims against public figures to extort payments from Mr. Carter under the threat of devastating harm to his reputation. And Jay-Z is claiming the reason why Jane Doe's suit was dismissed was because Tony Busby was denied admission to appear in the Southern District of New York after he had claimed he was allowed to practice there, so they had to dismiss the suit.
Boy.
Jay-Z's suit claims, faced with his inability to comply with the judge's order in the case against Mr. Carter and facing the threat of punishment by the court, Busby dispatched Fortney to Alabama to meet with Doe that same day, namely February 13th, 2025. During that meeting, Fortney falsely, maliciously, and manipulatively told Doe that the case against Mr. Carter needed to be dismissed as Mr. Carter had made threats against Doe's life, and it was too dangerous to continue with the case. Of course, no such threats had ever been made. The next day, February 14th, Jane Doe's lawsuit against Jay-Z and Sean Combs was dismissed. And last week, Jay-Z says after Jane Doe admitted the story wasn't true, her attorneys made threats if he went public with the information. The suit claims, to compound this egregious harm, just last Friday, Busby's and Fortney's co-counsel, a prominent New York attorney in the now dismissed false action against Mr. Carter, threatened Mr. Carter's counsel to double down with yet another false public statement by Doe if Mr. Carter publicly revealed her admissions and Busby's and Fortney's misdeeds in Mr. Carter's pending California lawsuit against Busby. Now, if true, that's an incredible allegation that the attorney threatened to put out another false story. Jay-Z says the allegations have cost him and Roc Nation more than $20 million. That's out-of-pocket losses, emotional harm, humiliation, and harassment. Jay-Z is already suing Tony Busby in California, where he lives. So what does Tony Busby have to say about this? I emailed him to find out. In a statement, Busby said, "This new case alleges the same claims as the other one they pieced together and filed in Los Angeles. Like the one in LA, this new case in Alabama also has no legal merit. Sean Carter's investigators have repeatedly harassed, threatened, and harangued this poor woman for weeks, trying to intimidate her and make her recant her story. She hasn't and won't. Instead, she has stated repeatedly that she stands by her claims. These same groups of investigators have been caught on tape offering to pay people to sue me and my firm. After speaking with Jane Doe today, it appears that the quotes attributed to her in the lawsuit are completely made up, or they spoke to someone who isn't Jane Doe. This is just another attempt to intimidate and bully this poor woman that we will deal with in due course. We won't be bullied or intimidated by frivolous cases. So to make sense of all of this, I want to bring in Jack Greiner. He's a First Amendment lawyer with the Faruqi Law Firm in Cincinnati, Ohio. Jack, your first thoughts on Jay-Z kind of firing back after this whole debacle over this rape accusation. He's suing for defamation, specifically targeting for defamation Jane Doe.
Yeah, it's interesting. Typically, there is a privilege for parties when they file a complaint that they are not subject to defamation, and the idea is that we don't want to discourage people from pursuing the courts as a remedy. So I think on the defamation count, I think he's got a bit of a hurdle to get over here. That is typically considered an absolute privilege. Now, if he can prove that Jane Doe was misusing the system to achieve another goal, I think he might have an argument. But as I say, typically you cannot base a defamation claim on what somebody says in a civil complaint.
What I find interesting is the fact that he is claiming that just last week, Jane Doe, after dismissing this lawsuit with prejudice, her attorneys had to take that action, obviously, on Valentine's Day, that she has admitted to his representatives that this story that Jay-Z raped her back in the year 2000 after the VMAs, that it wasn't true.
Right.
That to me is astonishing. And the fact that she went on NBC News and gave an interview and said, yeah, I might have some inconsistencies. There may be some things that don't match up, but my story is on the whole true. Is that potentially where the defamation comes in? Because she not only filed the lawsuit, but then went on NBC News, which was broadcast all over the world. The internet exists now. You can log on and watch this stuff any time of the day.
No, I think that's exactly right. And I think that's why Jay-Z is going to really talk about the NBC interview because she does not have a privilege outside of the courtroom, outside of the legal pleading. There's no privilege. And that's a little hard sometimes for people to get their arms around. But because you can literally be inside the courtroom, court in session, and pretty much say what you want. If you step outside of that courtroom and give a press conference, you are no longer covered by the privilege, even if all you do is repeat what you said in the courtroom. So it's a little bit of an oddity in the law, but that is the law. So I think the NBC interview is going to be a problem. And I think her admission, obviously, is very problematic for her. But even without that, I think the complaint does a good job of laying out the inconsistencies, and they were able to talk to people who she said she talked to that night, for example, who just weren't there. Who said, "Hey, I wasn't there. I wasn't at the VMAs. I was on tour in the Midwest." So,
right.
I think she's really allowing the inconsistencies to overwhelm the story. I don't know that we'll ever know the full truth, but and just the idea that she got a 5-hour ride or whatever it was from her dad, who says he doesn't remember anything like that. Very problematic.
Yeah, it seems like there are a number of problems here. One thing that it's in an exhibit, the transcript of the NBC News interview, it's in an exhibit, but it talks about how she said she's has autism. She's on the autism spectrum. It sounds like she has some issues. In the lawsuit, Jay-Z claims, this is a woman who's got financial issues. She doesn't have custody of her children. She's living with her parents in Alabama. Doesn't sound like she has a very good life, and that she somehow gets hooked up with Tony Busby, who's a very flamboyant attorney and who made a show out of, saying, I'm going to go after Sean Combs. And then Jay-Z gets kind of brought into this whole thing. and that this was all for a big payday. It sounds like Jay-Z is basically saying these people tried to shake me down, thinking I was going to just write a check when I was not identified, that there was a demand letter. I was going to just write a check to make this go away, and I didn't. And then they decided to kick it up to the next level. So, I mean, he lays out a compelling case for.
Wow, that's now I'm thinking more like on Jay-Z's side, man. Can you imagine some little kid, you know, she a little slow, she's a fan. These people saying they got 𝗟𝗡𝗡𝗞𝗦, you know, shoot, and they had some of the people lying. Shoot, I can make up a good lie. I've been lying about all kinds of stuff. I lied to my parents about all kinds of stuff. And she's a little, you know, touched upstairs. So I'm thinking that she probably made it up and made it up a whole lot of stuff. And Bugsby, you know, he's pushing for, yeah, we can get him. If I got, you sure this happened? Of course it happened. You know, but don't say this happened. Say that part happened. I'm going to coach you on making sure this go down right. I can almost imagine that, man. But God dang, man. Man, can we just tell the truth?
Or possibly this being ready to kick it up to the next level.
Right, at that level, man.
I mean, he lays out a compelling case for possibly this being what happened.
Yeah. No, I agree. And I, you know, as a lawyer, I would not have had my client go on NBC to do an interview. But I think
she did that on her own.
The lawyer was sitting there in the interview with her. So,
right.
You know, clearly it wasn't her going.
Wait a minute. What? The lawyer was actually there?
My client go on NBC to do an interview. But I think as I recall from the complaint, the lawyer was sitting there in the interview with her. So,
right.
You know, clearly it wasn't her going rogue on the lawyer. He facilitated it. And I don't know if I don't know if he felt that he didn't have another card to play. So he doubled down. He doubled down. But it's curious to me. It's curious strategy, I think.
Yeah, it's a very curious strategy. It says
it's a strategy.
You know, she
Remember
was in
that word,
Houston, so
strategy.
obviously the law firm or NBC News maybe flew her to Houston to do this interview. I mean, it would have been a big scoop. So maybe they did that and flew her in, and she meets with this lawyer, and it sounds like they had some inklings that something might be amiss, according to Jay-Z. Now, this is all Jay-Z's side of the story. You know, we need to hear the other side of the story in filings from Tony Buzbee and his co-counsel, David Fortney. You know, the thing that's interesting to me is the fact that Tony Buzbee and his co-counsel are not accused of defamation in this suit. I would assume that's because they didn't go on NBC News and talk about this. There were maybe a tweet here and there from Buzbee, but they probably are protected under the privilege you mentioned earlier. But they are accused of civil conspiracy and abusive process and a malicious prosecution. These are some pretty serious allegations.
Yeah, they are. And I mean, I do think that, two things. I'm a little bit surprised that Jay-Z didn't name NBC. I mean, NBC can't just run an interview if they have reason to doubt what the interviewee is saying is truthful. There's potential liability there. I suppose he didn't want to take it to that level, but they're not. As I say, I'm a little bit surprised he didn't name NBC just to add another deep pocket to this thing. But I think probably he's legitimately upset with Jane Doe, and he's legitimately upset with her lawyers, and less so with NBC. But I mean, the notion of an abusive process, that's not that's a tort you study first year of law school, and you don't hear much about it after that. So in my case, we're talking 40 some years that, I've thought about abusive process, but, it does seem to, if the allegations prove true, I think he's got a pretty good case, because the whole idea is you are not supposed to improperly use the courts, to shake down somebody. And, that seems to be the case here. So, I think it's going to be an interesting case, and if the allegations are true, it's hard to blame Jay-Z for taking the aggressive posture that he's taken. I sort of, as I say, if it's true, I applaud him for standing his ground.
Yeah, he's been very aggressive from the beginning. I mean, scorched earth is kind of like probably being very delicate in describing how he fought this. I mean, he went to battle. He went to war with this. Yeah. He says he's lost in excess of $20 million. I mean, most of us can't imagine even losing that much money, anywhere near that amount of money. Right. So he's lost a fortune, even for a billionaire such as Jay-Z. I mean, that's nothing to sneeze at.
Well, and I think, to be associated with Sean Combs at this point is, potentially, I would think, career poison. And so I think it's incumbent on him to do his best to clear his name, because, that's going to linger. And I mean, just think about the people who have sort of dropped off the map as a result of sexual misconduct allegations. Louis C.K., you really don't hear much of him anymore, and all the Harvey Weinstein stuff, so I get it. And I could see it really being a career, potentially career ending, if not career limiting. So I don't, like I say, I think it's understandable that he would do what he can do. So, I think if the allegations are true, I think he's doing the right thing. He's fighting back.
One of the things that's interesting to me is the fact that he clearly points out that Jane Doe has financial issues. She has no money. She cannot pay him. So to me, I think really who he's going after here is Tony Buzbee. Maybe he's looking to bankrupt Tony Buzbee. He's like, you came after me and you messed with the wrong person. And Tony Buzbee is the person who, if
filed a claim,
if he's going to get any money out of this, it's going to come from Tony Buzbee, who runs a pretty successful law firm. He's not going to get a cent from Jane Doe, and Jane Doe may turn out to be his star witness.
Well, that's exactly right. And I think he even mentions in the complaint that she was living with her parents, and her parents recently declared bankruptcy. So there's no money to be had there. And I mean, I would think I have no idea about, I don't know Tony Buzbee. I don't know anything about his law firm, but if it's a $20 million hit, that seems like that would be tough to absorb, no matter how successful your law firm is. So, it'll be interesting to see. And I don't think this is, there's a concept that I'm sure you're familiar with, internet, called the SLAPP lawsuit, which stands for Strategic Litigation Against Public Participation. Mm-hmm. I don't think this falls into a SLAPP lawsuit. I mean, I think that this is because it's often in a SLAPP lawsuit, it's somebody going after a protester, it's somebody going after somebody who's taken an active role in some sort of form of protest or something. That's not the case here. And it's not about the opinions. This is about actual factual misstatements that he indicates, she made repeatedly. And as you say, now she's admitting to that. So I don't think he's going to have to worry about, and I don't know, if Alabama has an anti-SLAPP law, but I'd be really shocked if they do, even if they do, that Buzbee would try to claim that this violates any kind of anti-SLAPP law.
Well, Tony Buzbee is saying this is a meritless lawsuit. He says that Sean Carter, Jay-Z, his investigators were harassing this woman, trying to get her to recant her story, and that she stated she repeatedly stands by her claims. But it'll be interesting to see how this plays out, because he says it appears the quotes attributed to her in the lawsuit are completely made up, or they spoke to someone who isn't Jane Doe. So I find this really interesting, because he's saying this happened late last week. Right. That Jane Doe, Sean Carter, Jay-Z is saying Jane Doe recanted this late last week. Tony Buzbee saying she stands by her story. So it'll be interesting to see how it all plays out.
I remember I remember a number of years ago when I think it was a woman named Susan Smith was her children died.
Very familiar, yes.
And the police, she went on the Today Show. She was sort of for a week or so becoming the face of this poor woman, mother who lost her kids. And then, of course, it turned out that she was the one who committed the crime. And, I remember reading that the police were like, hey, keep talking. We'd love it because we're just getting more and more evidence against you. And I kind of sense that the more Jane Doe talks, the more evidence there is that her story was made up, because she's just Mark Twain's famous quote, if you tell the truth, you don't have to remember as much, So
right.
I think that she's spinning herself into a problem here the more she talks. So I suspect Sean Combs and his lawyers are like, go ahead, keep it up. It's just going to help our case.
We'll see how it plays out. Jack Greiner, thank you so much.
Okay. Thank you, Edzina. It's great to see you.
You too. And again, Tony Busby says that this woman, despite dismissing that lawsuit with prejudice, stands by her story. And that's it for this episode of Crime Fix. I'm Anjanette Levy. Thanks so much for being with me. I'll see you back here next time.
Strategy. Busby. And I'm hoping I'm close to right. Busby and his strategy. Watch this, y'all. Chess game. The game of chess. What's the first piece of the chess puzzle get taken? A pawn. Busby has 120 cases, right? What you gonna show if you're playing poker, playing any type of game, period? You always start off with your weakest move. Football, basketball, well, I'm gonna go out for a pass. Sometimes you might start off with your heavy hitters, but this is very important. You might start off with the bomb. The first game in the first play in the football game, hey, running back, the small stuff, throw a little flank pass. But first play of the game is very, very seldom the bomb all the way downfield. Every now and then they say we're gonna strike hard on them. So what I'm saying is, I think Busby actually threw something out there. He got 120 cases. Do you honestly think that he don't have a good, strong case with Jay-Z in it? That's 120 cases, y'all. This is only one, and y'all talking about. This is my weakest case. This lady is what's the proper name? She's slow, whatever you want to call her. She sound like the story's made up. Let me throw this case out there, see what Jay-Z and them going to do, so they can show some of their hands, so I can analyze what they going to do. That's what he did. That's what I think. And I think something happened to that little girl. I seriously think in today's world, you probably, to be honest, maybe 120 people in the United States in today's world will say in court that they did get 𝗟𝗓 when they actually didn't. I think 120 girls, I think all of y'all that's listening to my voice is not that 120. I think if you never been 𝗟𝗓, you wouldn't even say and point the finger and say he did it to me. I think my people that's listening to me right now wouldn't do that. I couldn't point the finger at somebody and say they did something, and I know I'm lying. I know I'm lying. How dare you point the finger at this? I don't care if he's rich, poor, whatever. He's a human being. And just because he that big, you're going to sit there and point the finger and try to get his money? I don't want the money that way. And you may want the money, but I think it's about 120 people that would do it. And if you raise your hand and say, shit, I'd do it, go on and file your lawsuit. Busby, I give you the number, Hey, I'm going to get on up out of here, man. Look here, y'all take it light, take it slow. Y'all tell me what y'all think below. Don't forget our Patreon, man. Sign up for the Patreon and everything, man. We are feeding people. Thank y'all so much. Thank all the patrons that donated, man. We talking as low as $3 a month. I think if some people are actually doing $5 a month or $10 a month, I think at $10 a month, we're going to add in giving them shout outs. The $5 a month people probably can get shout outs. And do a list. Yeah. I'm gonna get one of our helpers to do the shout outs and stuff. Maybe nephew can do the shout outs. Yeah. Look here, I'm gonna get on up out of here. Y'all take it light, take it slow. Tell them Uncle Mike told you so. Peace out. Peace, y'all. Love y'all.